No, actually, I didn't know that. But I know that sometimes, you guys do accommodate notaries that speak Spanish for some of our Spanish-speaking clients.
Yes. Yeah. And if in a transaction that we have, we will use a bilingual notary if that's something that's requested. But we do have the assistant that speaks Spanish as well, and she is a notary. Mm-hmm.
Welcome to another episode of Get Real Estate with Liz. And today I have a really good friend of mine, and we go way back, and her name is Julie. And Julie, can you tell me a little bit of who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Julie Opheim. I'm with Placer Title. I've been in escrow and title since the mid to late 90s. And I met you here in 2005?
Yeah, 2005.
We were just talking about that. Mm-hmm. So we do escrow and title. We're located downtown in Paso Robles. We have an office in Cambria, San Luis Obispo, and Santa Maria. And we take pride.
In Paso Robles.
Yeah, in Paso Robles. Sorry. So we're on 10th Street in Paso Robles, right on the backside of the library. And between Superior Court and Verizon Wireless, mm-hmm. Give Verizon the shout out. And it's a great location. So we have 2 escrow officers in that office, and we also have a bilingual assistant.
Oh, nice, nice. That's important.
Yeah. Did you know that?
Or I will go to your to your signings as well to translate. Really quick, I wanted to piggyback. So Julie is actually somebody that I've known for a long, long time when I was doing mortgage loans. And she was actually one of the inspirations of me getting back into the real estate business. She was like, come back. We need Spanish speaking. Yeah, you did.
I do remember that kind of.
And then you even actually set me up before I even got my license for, like the PTC.
To look up
properties and stuff like that. So she really motivated me to come back. And unfortunately, I didn't go back to the lending side, but I became a realtor by default. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I didn't know I inspired you that much, but no, I always...
you did, because you kept telling me you need to come back. You need to come back. Just kind of like how I keep inspiring Maria, but she still hasn't made that move yet.
Oh, Maria?
Yeah, Maria.
Okay. But just a little bit more about what we do. So we are the neutral party in the real estate transaction. So if you are representing a buyer or seller and you put together a deal with the purchase contract, you hand that over to our office, and we go off the instruction of what the purchase contract says. So we are holding the money, the deposit money from the buyer.
The earnest money deposit.
Yep. And we are facilitating everything else that's given us an instruction in that contract. And we are working with a lender who's doing the loan on the transaction and getting them everything that they need from us. And we're working with the sellers to get the payoffs for their mortgage, if they have a mortgage. Mm-hmm. If there's solar, we're working to clear the solar. If there's any other type of liens, we're working to clear those liens and get everything set up for the transfer of that property.
Right now you mentioned liens. Can you explain a little bit what a lien is?
A lien can mean a lot of different things. So you could have child support liens. You could have state tax liens. You could have federal tax liens. Most of the liens that we see on the properties are like a deed of trust. That's mm-hmm. considered a lien because it's money that's owed on that property. And also you'll see solar liens. Mm-hmm. So solar panels that go up, there's money owed on the solar panels typically, unless somebody pays cash. Mm-hmm. And so lien is a broad word.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good thing and a bad thing, but it is something that has to be cleared mm-hmm. before we transfer title to the buyer.
And that is important. And that's kind of like what escrow does. They collect little pieces to make the big picture of your puzzle.
Yep. Now, there's a lot of moving parts going on, and there's never a dull moment. Mm-hmm. And some of the items that I would recommend when you're, if you're working with a buyer or a seller, is the communication with us is key. Mm-hmm. So if there's some kind of change, somebody's going out of town, we need to know about it. Our escrow officers
immediately.
Our escrow officers need to know about it, because if we have to hunt somebody down who's on vacation in Europe and to get paperwork notarized, it's really hard to do.
That's what we did. Remember? Well, I don't know if you remember that, but my client went to El Salvador and we had to have him sign loan docs over there.
Wow.
From Placer Title, Christine Kelly was the escrow officer on that.
So we probably did a remote notary, I'm assuming.
I think he had to go to the embassy.
Okay, or the embassy.
Something
Not
like
the
that.
embassy, not the embassy suites.
Not the embassy suite. The embassy in El Salvador.
Yeah, the U.S. embassy.
See, it's never a dual moment in real estate.
But we do have the capability now of doing remote online notaries.
Oh, nice.
So it's something we're kind of embracing in our industry. We're cautious because there's a lot of fraud that's going on. And that's one thing I would say, if anybody is involved in a real estate transaction, whether with you or anybody else, to make sure before any money's wired to anybody, you're double checking, triple checking your wiring instructions, and to never go off of a random email that comes in, because that's part of the fraud aspect. It's an ever evolving situation that's going on, and we also are seeing fake sellers. With fake driver's license, using fake notaries. So that's why I mentioned that with the remote notaries, because there is an verification that goes on, and they are approved to do this.
Kind of like when you go to the IRS and now they ask you for your driver's license, and the notary has to visually see who you are.
At the IRS?
Yeah, when you log into your IRS, now they ask you to do a verification of who exactly you are.
Okay.
You can't really log into an account without a notary, like a Zoom call, I guess.
Is it like facial recognition?
Like a facial recognition, but an actual notary has to call you and do a Zoom call.
Yeah, so that's remote notary.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool,
similar situations. We really don't like to use a remote notary, only special circumstances, like your person that took off to El Salvador. And stayed at the embassy suites.
Not the embassy suites.
I'm just kidding. But that is something I like to mention, though, because the notary aspect of it is really, really an important part of what we do, because as a seller, we're verifying that they are an actual seller to transfer the property to the buyer. And as a buyer, we're facilitating that the buyer is who they are, borrowing the money to purchase the house. So there's a lot of moving parts going on with a lot of verification going on.
And that's another important thing too. When people write contracts, they usually go like, say, Elizabeth Gutierrez, right? But in your driver's license, it says Elizabeth Marie Gutierrez. How important is that to get that at the beginning when you're writing a contract? Because I always, tell my clients, what's your exact legal name as it appears on your driver's license? Because I know that the notary goes based on that, right?
No, it's really, really important. And it's also important as an agent to verify exactly how the sellers are vested in their property when they're selling a property. So if you had a property in the trust, how does that trust read? Because that should be on your contract. And we're going to be verifying that those parties on that trust are the ones who should be executing the sale. Yes.
Yeah, because that's where fraud comes in, what you said. Like if it's a husband and a wife and they're going through a divorce and I want to sell the house, yeah, my name's there, but how does the trust actually give the power to the individual?
Yeah, and and we are seeing, which is good, people are setting up trust. It's really, really important to set up a trust. You want to set up a trust to make sure that your property passes down to the parties you want them to inherit it, or inherit the property. And what we also see is bank accounts are not set up in the trust. So when you're selling as an entity in the trust, you have to have that trust bank account set up. And we have more clients that come back to us saying, we don't have a bank account. My bank won't take this check written to my trust. Well, they have to take the time to set up their trust bank account. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it goes with when you create an entity as well. You have to have a business account or an entity account that's going to reflect the name, because you can't cash or deposit a check that it's not under your physical name.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
So
What else do you want to know?
so escrow, I know that you kind of mentioned a little bit of what you guys do. How long do you usually see the process of an escrow?
I would say the average time frame is probably right around 30 days. We've done escrows that if people are purchasing with cash and we don't have to have a loan put in place and everything's ready to go, we can do fast transactions, realistically, a week to 2 weeks. 30 days is probably the average time frame, 30 to 40 days.
And another question, can anything go wrong while you're in escrow?
Anything go wrong? A lot can go wrong. and again,
I'm just throwing that out there because there's no such thing as a perfect transaction. I mean, here and there we will, but I just want, be transparent and let everybody know that there are things that can come up.
The state of California has done a really good job. I know everybody feels like we're overregulated here, but they've done a really good job as far as the transparency of disclosures and what you're purchasing. So I think going through that timeline to get your inspections done, have those disclosures looked at thoroughly, by you going over with your buyers, and even on the state of California is more of a buyer friendly state. Other states in the United States are very seller friendly.
Oh, really?
And there's a lack of disclosure that goes on. So if anybody is purchasing properties out of state, they really need to do their own due diligence on everything.
I noticed that when my cousin bought a house in Texas, the contract is literally like one page, and there's like no disclosures. There's no nothing really.
Yeah. So I have a property in Tennessee. I've owned another property in Tennessee, and I had to ask to look at the preliminary title report, which is what we produce here. And they acted like I was crazy for even wanting to look at it. I wanted to know.
What are you thinking?
Yeah. And one of my properties back there's pipelines that go through the backside of the development, and I wanted to know what it was, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's just normal." Well, is it though?
Yeah,
So here we have the disclosures for that. So that's on your natural hazard disclosure report,
and it protects everybody.
Yes,
honestly,
yeah,
the seller as well as the buyer. The buyer knows exactly what they're getting into, and the seller is actually disclosing everything that they know of. So in case there's no discrepancies,
hopefully they're disclosing everything they know. Yeah.
We're supposed to.
Yeah. So at our office, we're doing the escrow portion and we're doing the title portion. And it really is two separate functions going on because we're issuing the title insurance and we're also acting as a neutral party in the transaction.
Yeah, that's the other question that I was going to ask you, but you answered it.
There you go.
And then also you brought some handouts.
Yeah.
Basically.
So we have, if you go to our website, placertitle.com, and we have downloads of buyers and sellers guides, and we have them in multiple languages, and we have a lot of great information on there. So if anybody would like to go onto our website, placertitle.com, under seller and buyers resources, we have great tools for everybody, the general public, to use.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, if you want to know a little bit more of what escrow is and what they do and the whole process, go to the website. Or reach out to me personally or to Julie or anybody in the escrow business, or preferably me. I can give you a handout, a physical handout, if you don't have access to the website.
And we have QR codes too. So I could always send you a QR code. So if anybody wants to email Elizabeth, I can give you the QR codes for Spanish, English, buyers, sellers guides, some great tools that answer a lot of questions I think that clients have during the process.
Oh, yeah, because there's a lot of questions that people ask throughout the process.
Yeah.
Would you like to end this with a quote or anything inspirational or anything, any tips for any future potential clients?
I would just say that, our market is ever changing. And I think working with a professional like you, is really, really important to have somebody that's looking out for your best interest and helping you guide you through the process. And even though we are neutral, which we are neutral in the transaction, I think every one of our employees truly cares about what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's how I'd like to end it. But, we do have 4 locations in our region, and we're throughout the state of California, and we operate in different states. So we're here to.
And that's another thing before she ends this is that we can open escrow here, but the transaction can be in Salinas or Santa Maria or, anywhere.
Yeah, no. So anywhere in the state of California, our transaction can be facilitated in our Paso Robles office. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming here.
Totally out of my comfort zone.
Back. Yeah. Hopefully you can come back. If other people have any questions or concerns, send them over, and then I can always bring her back. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.